support that are high up in that left corner in this two-tiered, tiny, compact stadium, the Philips Stadion. And they'd formed a huddle whilst the PSV players in the half away towards our right were lined up and ready to go under the watchful eye of our Spanish referee Jesus Gil Manzano, who with a shrill of his whistle gets us underway, with Arsenal playing from left to right as we look. And straight away it goes to Raya, who hits it right-footed and direct downfield, and then it's booted away from the centre-back Ryan Flamingo for PSV Eindhoven. And they had a setback at the weekend, but they've got a very, very good home record as the ball goes to Raya and he has to quickly clear it. And in fact, the recent defeat to go-ahead Eagles in the Dutch Cup semi-final ended a 55-match home unbeaten run here in the Philips Stadion. It was their first home loss since November 2022. And they've been scoring goals for fun here this season. And so, if they are to harbour any hopes of knocking out Arsenal, you would think that they'd need the platform here in Holland this evening. And it is 0-0 in the early stages as the ball is cut out by Saliba, and it goes out for a throw to PSV on this near side there left.
Yeah, and I think Arsenal, their back line, they'll think about really squeezing this game. Luuk de Jong, the centre-forward, doesn't have great pace. He'll be a foil, that target man type for PSV. They'll be looking to get pace in behind from Noah Lang, really, off the left-hand side.
Ball is hit long. Perisic is on that far side, the former Tottenham player, the Croatian, and there was a foul on that far side, and Perisic is the one who complains. He's wearing gloves as well as his short sleeve shirt, the Croatian. 140 caps for his country, one of the greats that has played for Croatia in that illustrious career of his, as Rice steps forward to try and win the ball midway through the PSV half. Sliding across on that far side was Ledesma, the American international. It's picked up though here by Lewis Skelly, and he tries to play that diagonal forward ball to Ødegaard. He's so good at coming forward from left back, isn't he, into midfield?
He's so comfortable, whether it's at left back in that central midfield area. And there's a good run from Ødegaard, and had the pass just been weighted a little bit better, too much pace on the pass from Lewis Skelly, Ødegaard would have been in.
I said it was a mild night, but I noticed that there are 3 PSV players who are wearing gloves tonight.
Does that include the goalkeeper?
I was thinking of outfield players, Chris. Sharp as ever, Touché. Where's that flag? Throw to PSV. Schouten, fair-haired midfielder, Dutch international, loses the ball. Coming forward on this near side was Timber, Dutch international, of course, himself, formerly of Ajax, is now running forward on this near side, the left. It was an opportunity for Sabari to get forward, but he was stopped, and it'll be passed out by Lewis Skelly towards that far side. Rice will give it back to the youngster, who really has impressed for Arsenal. There's some late stragglers make their way to the press area. In fact, it's not late stragglers, it's coffee that is being served. Of course, guess who's just said, yes, I'll have one, as the ball is passed to Saliba, and Saliba will run forward. Rice gives it to him back, and you've even got a biscuit as well there for you, Chris. Keep the gentleman up scoring with you, that's it. Team player as ever. Lewis Skelly, inverted role, left of the centre circle, 0-0 in the early stages, here on BBC Radio 5 Live and BBC Sounds. And then ball from Gabriel. Good noise inside the Philips Stadion as Lewis Skelly was forward, and there was Flamingo coming back just to tidy up for PSV, and he eventually clears. Cardiff City 0, Burnley 1 is the latest score in the Championship. Burnley, of course, a third, and they're looking to put pressure on Sheffield United ahead of them. Sabari picks up the loose ball. He's got Lang going ahead of him. Touches the ball out towards that far side, and there was Saliba just coming across to snuff out the threat and prevent it from reaching Perisic.
You know, it really opened up then for PSV, and Noah Lang off the left-hand side in the central position. It's a really poor pass, tried to pop it out on the right to Perisic, and the chance goes.
Partey in the midfield, drops back onto the halfway line. Let's get news of that Burnley goal then from Laura Kenyon.
Yeah, Cardiff 0, Burnley 1. The Championship High Flyers take the lead. Hannibal with the cross poked in by Josh Brownhill for his 11th of the season. In fine form, Burnley, and off the mark here. Now more than 1,100 minutes since they conceded a league goal. Cardiff 0, Burnley 1.
Thank you, Laura. Saliba hits a long ball aimed out towards the left. Trossard tries to keep the ball in play, succeeds, but it's then cleared away by Ledesma, the right back for PSV. It'll be an Arsenal throw, which they're going to leave for Lewis Skelly to take on that far side, the left. He's about 10 yards forward on the left-hand side. We've had coffee, we're now getting water delivered to us. It's a first-class service.
Very generous, aren't they, the Dutch?
What will be next? Lewis Skelly with the throw, infield, Trossard. Don't say anything to that. Lewis Skelly outside the centre circle. Passes the ball to Wanyeri. Morecambe are leading Wimbledon by a goal to nil in League Two. And the Spanish referee has given a free kick to Arsenal midway through the PSV half. Goalless.
Yeah, and they're really struggling, PSV. You mentioned their lack of pace in that central striking position off the right-hand side, and Arsenal really squeezing the game well.
Here is Wanyeri running forward. Malacia backpedals, Wanyeri scoops the ball in towards the far post. And then it was knocked back in by Gabriel, arriving at the far post, and PSV are able to bring the ball clear as Real Madrid have just taken the lead at the Bernabeu in that Madrid derby against Atletico. And Rodrigo has scored after 4 minutes. Real Madrid 1, Atletico Madrid 0. The winners of that will play the winners of this tie. And it remains 0-0 here on BBC Radio 5 Live.
I've got to tell you, Wanyeri, brilliant ball in it was, wasn't it? Inviting ball, left-footed, coming inside on his left foot, dinked it to the far post, and Marino, I think, was on his heels a little bit. Had he been more alert, he could have popped Arsenal in front with his head.
17 years and 348 days old is Ethan Wanyeri, the second youngest Arsenal player to appear in the knockout stages of the Champions League after Cesc Fabregas. Ødegaard over the halfway line, passes the ball in field. Partey just touches the ball to Lewis Skelly, eager as ever to get forward and to join the attack. Trossard now at a walking pace. Arsenal are attacking. Partey, Ødegaard has gone central. Marino was making that run on the edge of the area. Arsenal slow it down, pass it out towards the left, level with the area. Comes towards Gabriel. He's midway through the PSV half. PSV have dropped off. Every red and white shirt back behind the ball. Arsenal in control of the ball at this stage. Trossard is able to turn. He's 25 yards out because he's come central. Creates the width for Lewis Skelly. Back in then towards Trossard, who spins into the inside left channel of the penalty area. Can't get the cross, and PSV will get it clear, and we'll get news of that Real Madrid goal from John Akers.
What a start from Real in the derby. Brilliant finish from Rodrigo. Cut in on his left foot, smashed it into the top corner. Fast start as Rodrigo goes down, shouts for a penalty. The referee will have a look. He's given a corner. It's Real 1, Atletico 0.
Goal involving Bolton and Birmingham in League One. Sani Rudravajula.
And it's gone to the league leaders, Birmingham City. Emil Hansen with his first goal of the season. Well worked cross on the right hand side, and he was there to put it in the net. So Bolton 0, Birmingham City 1.
Carlisle United, bottom of League Two, have just pegged back the leaders at Brunton Park. Carlisle United 1, Walsall 1 in League Two is the latest score. Gabriel comes over the top of Luke de Jong. Referee didn't see anything wrong though with that, much to the annoyance of the Dutch supporters here in Eindhoven. Luke de Jong didn't have that great spell when he was on loan at Newcastle United under Alan Pardew 10 years ago. 12 appearances, didn't register a goal at St James's Park. As Moreno collects it for Arsenal, infield to Partey, 30 yards out, forward ball to Ødegaard. Ødegaard into the penalty area. Was he fouled? He went down, the referee had a look of it, says no. Ødegaard thought he had his legs taken away from him. Strong penalty appeals from Arsenal.
Yeah, and do you know what? It looked like he was getting a shot off and he was impeded. There's a brilliant touch to get him on, take him onto the inside on his left foot. He's still complaining to the referee. VAR, of course, will be checking this, but what an opening for Arsenal.
Here is Rice. Rice coming forward. I mean, the question is, and I haven't had a chance to see it again, but why would he go down after that touch when he's ready to get the shot away? As Chris quite rightly says, VAR will be having a look at it. But play continues in the meanwhile. Arsenal to Partey, touches it to Ødegaard, 25 yards from goal, forward ball, looking for Wanyeri, and Malacia will marshal it out, and now VAR will have a good look, and let's wait and see. Oh no, the referee's already instructed.
Well,
no penalty.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm like you, I'm just thinking, why does Odegaard gets on the inside of Scagli? I think that there is a little touch as he goes to shoot, but I think it's Sabari, and they'll probably say that that was Odegaard kicking Sabari rather than Sabari committing the foul, if you get what I mean there, Ian. But he goes to shoot. Great opening for Arsenal.
Encouraging for Arsenal, coming forward now as well, as this is Wanyeri, and then shouting with a back pass, and it had to be quickly cleared away by Walter Benitez, the Argentine goalkeeper. Lincoln City 2, Crawley 1 is the latest score in League One, and we are up to date with the goals as they go in. But Mikel Moreno, the makeshift striker for Arsenal, is down just outside the D of the PSV penalty area. BBC Radio 5 Live and BBC Sounds tomorrow will be in Paris for Paris Saint-Germain against Liverpool, PSG. But tonight it's all about PSV, and it's 0-0.
And just looking at that penalty incident again, Mikel Arteta, he's going bonkers inside his technical area. It is one of those, could have gone either way. Odegaard will say he was impeded. Sabari will say, well, he kicked me first. So I get that decision, Ian. I do. At the time, exactly like you, why would Odegaard not get a shot off? But that coming together did for Arsenal.
Carlos Del Cerro Grande was the Spanish VAR official who quickly dispelled that. As here is Rice, can't turn into the area. It was a nice ball played into him. Rice has won it back. Rashford slow and scores! But the flag is up. It will not count. I mean, they'll check it anyway. It was a bullet of a low right-footed shot that found the bottom right-hand corner, but the flag was raised immediately.
Well, Rice and Odegaard have really played high up the pitch, and it's a forward run. Lovely touch from Marino on the inside, but Declan Rice is in an offside position, I think. That big left foot of his, and then he eventually chops back, and there's a measured finish into the far corner with the correct call.
It was a crisp finish. By the way, how quick was VAR? To credit VAR there. I mean, they had a quick look at it and said, right, no, hardly any delay at all. So a good call by the assistant referee, and it remains 0-0. But certainly the last couple of moments that Arsenal have created, whether it be the right penalty shout or that disallowed goal, will offer encouragement for Mikel Arteta's side.
Absolutely, they are smothering PSV on their own patch.
Gabriel plays it through. Mikel Moreno enters the penalty area, hesitated and couldn't get the shot away. Accrington Stanley 1, MK Dons 0 is the latest score in League 2.
Why not get a shot off there? Mikel Moreno, really good run. And he takes a touch, and the angle's a little bit against him, but a natural striker in that position would just go for goal there, go for power, 8-10 yards out at the angle. And he took a touch, suffocated by the PSV backline.
Newport County 2, Gillingham 0, Salford 1, Swindon 1, Salford City 1 is a latest score in League 2. As PSV, who have lost back-to-back games against Go-Ahead Eagles, not so much Go-Ahead, but falling behind really when they lost 2-1 against in the Dutch Cup semi-final, and then 3-2 away at the weekend.
Very good, very nice. Here's one for you. We talk about Arsenal's set-piece record of being so strong. PSV, the best in European competition, Ian. I don't know whether you knew that.
Well, I've been speaking to some scouts who've been watching PSV, and where Kelly talked earlier on about Arsenal's strength for set-pieces, the ball is chipped into the penalty area for PSV. It's aimed towards Luuk de Jong. You've got to watch for corners in particular, I'm told, because they do look to try and create space for de Jong, whether it be at the near post or at the far post. And straight away, it was no surprise that it was aimed towards Luuk de Jong. Now at 34 years of age, the PSV captain, who tonight is actually making his 50th appearance in the Champions League, the 5th Dutch striker to do so after Van Nistelrooy, Kluivert, Mackay and Van Persie. I'm sure he'd look to mark the occasion with a goal. It remains 0-0, 14 minutes played.
Yeah, and he is a handful. I know you put the boot into him for his performances at Newcastle, but has had a pretty stellar career, hasn't he? Seville and Barcelona. He's still a handful. Saliba and Gabriel will have to be watchful. Doesn't have that great pace though. There's a decent foil and a pretty accomplished finisher.
37 goals he scored indeed last season. He's only bagged 13 so far this He also won the Dutch league under Steve McLaren at 20 Enschede back in 2010. I remember on my last visit here, he popped up with a late goal to get an equaliser when Tottenham Hotspur were the visitors here in the Champions League. That was some 7 years ago. 0-0, 15 minutes played, 5 live. No other goals to tell you about on a busy night of domestic action. Malacia plays the ball down this near side. Noah Lang, the Dutch international, running back. They link up, ball in field. Malacia caught in possession though by Ødegaard. Those black shirts of Arsenal. Nwaneri, very, very tight and frenetic. And then it's able to be brought away. And the ball then is passed in field and passed well by Buscagli, the defender. And Perisic now can run forward. The Croatian international on that far side, the right, remains 0-0. And then he looks to try and play the ball forward. Just coming in field. It's now back with Perisic once again. And then Malacia is able to join the attack on this near side. They've worked it well on the left. Perisic now with a cross. Raya can't get there. Sabari can, he hits the post. And then on the rebound, it's put wide. What a let-off for Arsenal.
Well, what a miss. It's a sitter for Sabari. They work it brilliantly from one end to the other, and then Perisic with the forward run, the underlap, and Raya makes a mess of it at the near post and ends up just parrying the ball to Sabari, who, with an open goal, and there is a little bit of pressure from, I think it's Gabriel, but has the goal at his mercy, crashes it against the crossbar, and to safety. Arsenal get away with one.
Well, I remember being in Bergamo at the start of the Champions League campaign, and David Raya pulled off a wonderful double save after a late penalty against Atalanta. But as you say, they worked it from the right to the left, and Perisic with a cross, and Raya really did gift it, didn't he, to Ismail Sabari, the Moroccan international, who should have hit double figures.
You can't miss that. It's an absolute shocker from Sabari. Been a really influential player for this PSV team, but Raya's got to do so much better, hasn't he, in the Arsenal goal? And albeit Arsenal have dominated this game, PSV have had that golden opportunity and not taken it.
It remains 0-0 at Valley Parade. Bradford City's automatic promotion hopes continue to go from strength to strength. They lead Cheltenham by a goal to 0. Wickham likewise in League One, a 1-0 up against Burton Albion. Newport County 3, Gillingham 0 in League 2, and 2 latest scores in League 1 at Sixfields. Northampton leads Stockport County by a goal to 0. Lincoln now 3-1 up at home to Crawley Town. Arsenal are attacking, 0-0 into the penalty area. Rice looks to turn, works his way out towards that left-hand side, goes towards the far post, and the header goes in. And it is Timber who climbs to the far post, and Arsenal lead by a goal to 0.
That's towering from Timber, gets up brilliantly. You think about the chance which went begging at one end for PSV, and Arsenal straight down the other end, and the ball to the back post is stunning. Just stood up and there, ready to be attacked, and boy does Timber attack it. They've actually played well, Arsenal, in these opening stages. They work it out on the left-hand side it is. And Declan Rice, little shift and left-footed, stands the ball up, and it's there to be won. And Timber, brilliant leap above Noah Lang, a bang, header down into the back of the net, no chance for Benitez in the PSV goal. And Arsenal, I think, take a deserved lead, but Peter Bosz will be thinking, well, how did his side not take that opportunity when it came their way?
Only his second goal for the club since he arrived on that long-term deal from Ajax. It was Manchester United at home back in December, his only other goal for the club. But he climbed so well, and the ball just seemed to be so inviting for him, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's like a little sand wedge, Ian. How I play my little sand wedges. Just stabbed up to the back post. Stunning ball, and you still need someone to go and attack it, and boy did he get up well.
He did, and Arsenal lead by a goal to 0, and they're looking for more goals here as Trossard with the cross is fired in. Ødegaard will race after it to keep the ball in play but won't succeed. Fleetwood have got a second at Gresty Road, so Crewe 0, Fleetwood Town 2. is the latest score in League Two, and you're up to date with the goals so far as they go in. 20 minutes played on this first night of 3 successive nights of European football that we have for you on 5 Live and BBC Sounds. I've mentioned that tomorrow night already that we'll be in Paris for the PSG game against Liverpool, but on Thursday evening, Real Sociedad against Manchester United is a 5:45 start, and we'll have commentary on 5 Live of that as well. But here in the Champions League, it is Arsenal who are leading against PSV. They've not won in their previous 4 visits to the Philips Stadion, but they are ahead at a time when really, had Sabari taken that chance, they should be behind. But they now lead, and PSV, who actually, the last time that they failed to score at home was 56 matches ago. It was a goalless draw in January 23 against Sparta Rotterdam. They should have hit the back of the net already. So they do have a good record, a proud record of finding the back of the net. But they are playing against this Arsenal side that, just like Aston Villa earlier, will be looking to try and put the tie to bed after the first leg. And Villa certainly did that with a 3-1 win away at Bruges earlier on. As Trossard threads the ball in towards Lewis Skelly. Skelly, bright, crosses, and it's buried! Buried with real vengeance by Ethan Nwaneri. He hit it left-footed first time. The 2 youngsters combining, and Arsenal double their lead, 2-0. What a hit!
Absolutely ruthless finish from Nwaneri. Peter Bosz, the PSV coach, slumps back into his seat. But Arsenal, what a start from them, fast start, and Lewis Skelly, great wizardry on that left-hand side, gets to cross it, and Nwaneri just drifts in through his position on the right, and the ball takes a little deflection, level with the near post, 7 yards out, and bang, left-footed into the roof of the net. He has absolutely hammered that. It's a brilliant finish, and Arsenal in total control.
And Ethan Nwaneri, at 17 years and 348 days, bags that goal in European competition. Not quite Arsenal's youngest ever goal scorer in Europe. That was Aaron Ramsey at 17 years and 300 days. But nevertheless, he absolutely leathered it. And the keeper just couldn't react because of the ferocity of the strike.
Yeah, that one stayed hit. I mean, he's 7 yards out, but one of those shots nearly took the back of the net off. Absolutely hammered. And what a start from Arsenal. Those negative Arsenal fans in the hotel when I was having coffee earlier. 0-0, they said. Dear me. Got to be a bit more positive, Ian.
Well, if only they could be a little bit more like you, Christopher. Mind you, I've got to say, I mean, I didn't arrive late into Eindhoven until last night, but I bumped into a couple of Arsenal supporters and I said, wait till you win tomorrow night. And they could have been the same people you were drinking coffee with, who knows? But they didn't exactly exude confidence either. They pulled a face and just seemed to shrug as a cross comes in from the right-hand side. And indeed, you met another one in the hotel foyer, didn't you, again, who didn't exactly look...
Well, and we gave him 2 chances. Once on the way out this morning for a little wander, and then we saw him this evening.
Perisic is forward. It's looking good. De Jong too eager to go to ground. However, the decision has gone in favour of the PSV captain, and a yellow card has been shown to Lewis Skelly for a pullback there on De Jong.
Yeah, and I just wonder whether De Jong has played him here. There is a slight tug. De Jong goes down really easily. He buys that one. Lewis Skelly does. De Jong does get on the inside of him. But that's wily centre-forward play. I say wily, but I think that's a cheap free kick. He's thrown himself to the floor. Lewis Skelly gets booked. There wasn't that much contact.
Elsewhere in the Champions League, Real Madrid lead Atletico Madrid by a 1-0. Borussia Dortmund have just taken the lead at home to Lille by a 1-0. So this is a free kick. It's less than 25 yards out from goal. Perisic is looking at it. There's also Lang, who'll hit it right-footed, and he tried to place it into the inside of the right-hand post. But Raya running across, watches it go wide. It's a goal kick. PSV 0, Arsenal 2 It's the latest score in the Champions League. And another goal at Bolton in League One. Sandy Rudravachana.
And Bolton have equalised. Bolton 1, Birmingham City 1. And it's John McAtee played through, shooting at a near post for his 10th goal of the season, past substitute goalkeeper, reserve goalkeeper today, Bailey Peacock-Farrell. Bolton 1, Birmingham City 1.
Burnley were ahead at Cardiff the last we heard. There's been another goal. Laura Kenyon.
And they've doubled their lead. Cardiff 0, Burnley 2. Could be a long night for Cardiff. They're still in the relegation mix. Zion Fleming teed up Maxime Esteve at close range to make it Cardiff 0, Burnley 2.
That would take Burnley 2 points behind second place Sheffield United as they look for automatic promotion. Turnover in play. Arsenal have it. Wanyeri to Erdegaard. Right side of the penalty area. Malacia running back, cuts it out, and then plays the ball to Ismail Sabari on this near side for PSV, who trail by 2-0. Shoughton, fair-haired midfielder, links up with Lang. Sabari almost falls over, but then gets the ball out from underneath his feet and manages to play it along the ground out towards that far side. Perisic coming forward, creates the overlap for Ledesma to come forward. Lewis Skelly could be in trouble. He's already been booked. Lewis Skelly could be teetering. The Dutch supporters are baying for a second yellow card.
Well, it's so naive from Lewis Skelly, and do you know what? It's a foul, I think, Ian, which warrants a second yellow. He's got away with one there, and I just wonder, Arsenal have about 15 left backs on the bench, don't they? Whether they'll make a substitution and protect him, because he won't get many more chances.
I've got to say he's fortunate.
Absolutely.
He is such a lucky young man. Lewis Skelly should have been sent off for a second bookable offence. I mean, he had that sending off against Wolves that was harsh, that was quite rightly rescinded. He was then later dismissed against West Ham just a few weeks ago. He's just returned from suspension, but he really should have been sent off again there. It's a free kick to PSV. Right-hand side, in it comes now, and then it's headed out. Malacia tees it up, opportunity to fire the ball back in. Blocked by Gabriel on the edge of the area. Perisic will gather it in now for PSV. Left corner of the area, tries to play it to Malacia. I mean, there is a degree of thinking. Who have they got on the bench? They've got White, they've got Tierney, they've got Zinchenko, Calafiori.
That's my point. I mean, the one position they're not short in Arsenal is left backs, and Peter Bosz, quite rightly, having a word with the fourth official.
So, PSV 0, Arsenal 2. Accrington Stanley 2, MK Dons 0. Back to Cardiff and Laura Kenyon.
Cardiff 1, Burnley 2, the home side bag a goal that ends Burnley's run of 12 consecutive clean sheets. Yusuf Salek with a header at the back post to make it Cardiff 1, Burnley 2.
Thanks, Laura. 27 minutes played. Here we are in the Netherlands. PSV 0, Arsenal 2. And there is still a sense of disbelief and anger.
You can't. I mean, he is so fortunate, Ian, to get away with that. It was a really reckless, mistimed challenge. And Arsenal, you know, it's a big moment in the game. Arsenal 2 up, and PSV, you're thinking, how are they going to get back into this? Well, that's a bit of a shocker from the referee, and Peter Bosz clearly unhappy. You'll feel he's been boshed a few times so far this evening.
The 61-year-old coach was pleading with the fourth official. Used to be at Ajax, Borussia Dortmund and Leverkusen. Took PSV to their 25th title in his first season last year as Rice will run forward. Although their chances of retaining it have fallen away in recent weeks. This current spell of 1 win in 6, and that was against Juve in the last 16, is actually their worst spell of their entire season under the bald-headed coach, and certainly not having an element of good fortune.
Well,
with
that's pot kettle, that, isn't it?
Listen, I've got more hair than he has. Mine's receding, he's completely bald. Fact, 0 PSV. That's cruel, actually.
Yeah, I mean, I'm amazed your point scoring.
I'm amazed at our engineer, who's got less than high, he's laughing at your joke. Arsenal leading by 2-0, get a throw. No other goals elsewhere around the country to tell you. Chris?
And Mikel Arteta just telling a few of his players to go out and warm up. I wonder whether that has crossed his mind, Ian, about protecting Lewis Skelly, really, keeping 11 players on the pitch.
It also will negate any chances of Mikel Arteta complaining about the penalty for Ødegaard, because if he felt he was unlucky, he might open up for a counter-attack here for PSV. Lang is sent scampering forward on the left-hand side. They trail by 2-0. Malacia is available on the overlap. Here is Malacia on loan from Manchester United. Only his 4th appearance since he arrived and returned to his native country.
Got to tell you, I'm loving the recovery run from Ranieri. Such a talented player on the ball, but off the ball, Lang, I pointed him out at the start of the game, saying he would be PSV's ball carrier danger man on the left-hand side, and Ranieri doubling up, running back 50-60 yards to make sure he's helping his teammate Jurrien Timber out.
Here is Malacia. Timber snapping at the heels. As a result, Arsenal win the ball. Timber comes forward, Malacia recovers, gets back goal side. Then Timber ushers Ranieri to go on the overlap, gets the shot blocked, goes into a challenge with Malacia, falls over inside the box, back to his feet once again. Still hasn't been dealt with. Moreno passes the ball into the back of the net, and Arsenal have got a 3rd goal. The flag has stayed down. Arsenal are certainly not goal shy tonight. PSV 0, Arsenal 3.
Oh, it's a beautiful finish from Moreno, measured from Moreno. It was just persistence from Timber inside the box, really. Good run forward on the right-hand side, holds the ball up, looks for a teammate, tries to thread a ball through to Moreno, and a couple of ricochets, and eventually the ball comes back to Moreno on the point of the 6-yard box. And he just passes the ball beautifully, left-footed, into the far side of the goal, with the inside of his left foot, has a little look, steadies himself through the legs of Buscagli into the far corner. 3 and easy for Arsenal in Eindhoven. Really cool finish. Really good the way he composed himself, settled himself down, knew he had time. Pops that one in.
There is a VAR check taking place at this stage, but it just looked like weak defending.
I think the initial run from Moreno, I wonder whether he is offside when Timber tries to thread the ball through. He does look, oh, it's a tight one. It's a tight one. I think it's Buscagli's left boot and Moreno's knee.
So there is a check. It is tight, as Chris Sutton quite rightly says. So at the minute, we've got Jesus Gil Manzano waiting for the word from his mi amigo del Cerro Grande, just to tell him what's going on. But bearing in mind, when there was an earlier call, it probably wasn't as tight as this. They did it very, very quickly. The length of delay from what earlier on was quite a quick process tells you how tight it is.
Oh, absolutely. This is a massive moment, isn't it? Arsenal, if they go 3 up, I mean, PSV are going to struggle with the way that Arsenal have defended this season anyway. 3-0 is going to be a mountain, too big a mountain for PSV to climb.
While we wait, we'll get news of another goal at Bolton. Sonny.
Well, it's half-time here. Bolton
half-time,
1,
sorry.
Birmingham 1. Emil Hansen's first-time finish on 23 looked like it would give the league leaders an inevitable victory, but fair play to Bolton. They've taken it to Birmingham City. John McAtee, 6 from time, firing low for an equaliser. Keeper Bailey Peacock Farrell should have done better, but it's no more than Bolton deserve. Half-time, Bolton 1, Birmingham 1.
Still the wait goes on. Hopefully it won't be 8 minutes. Wickham lead Burton by a goal to 0. Half-time, Huddersfield Wrexham. Fraser Dayton.
Yeah, goalless here, and Huddersfield will be kicking themselves. They really should have taken the lead on 40 minutes. Dion Charles put clean through. No one was near him, but he blazed over the bar. Remember, Huddersfield haven't scored at home in their last 5 games, and at the moment at half-time, it's still Huddersfield 0, Wrexham 0.
And also to the top of that division, Stockport County, who are 4th, are behind at Northampton Town by a goal to 0. And still the wait goes on. Sucking the life out of the game.
Yeah, it absolutely is. It's a huge moment. I don't know, goal check in Dutch, maybe you can pronounce that.
Onderzoek doelpunt.
Yeah, I mean, that's passable, isn't it?
And after that lengthy delay, the goal stands and Arsenal lead PSV by 3 goals to 0. Mikel Moreno judged to be onside. And it is his goal that now gives Arsenal a 3-0 lead with his 5th of the season. Laura Kenyon in the Championship, Cardiff, Burnley.
1, Burnley 2. The promotion chasers took a 2-goal lead with 2 close-range efforts from Josh Brownhill and Maxime Esteve. Looked confident, Burnley, and in control until Yusuf Salek popped up back post, burying a header to end Burnley's remarkable run of clean sheets in the league. Still, Burnley closing the gap on top 2. It's Cardiff 1, Burnley 2 at half-time.
And whilst we were away with Laura, sensibly, Arsenal have replaced Lewis Skelly with Calafiori.
Yeah, or California, as one Arsenal fan called him while I was having a coffee. So yeah, really sensible management from Mikel Arteta. Lewis Skelly really pushing his luck. Should have had a second yellow, not been on the field. But Arsenal 3 up. I mean, with the best will in the world, I don't think any Arsenal fan could have seen this coming, this start.
Well, their only win here was 23 years ago when they won 4-0, and they actually inflicted that night PSV's heaviest defeat in European competition. Thierry Henry scored twice in that 4-0 success. Arsenal could easily replicate that. You know, we're 10 minutes away from half-time. They're already 3 goals to the good. As Lang comes forward for this beleaguered PSV side, in towards Sabari, who could have changed the whole course of the game had he not hit the post. Another goal in the Madrid derby. John Akers.
Equaliser for Atleti, and it is an absolute worldie from Julian Alvarez. Cut towards the corner of the penalty area, left-hand side, bent it in off the post from the corner of the penalty area. It's such a good goal. It's Real 1, Atletico 1.
So Atletico have equalised there, 1-1. Dortmund still lead Lille by a goal to nil. Earlier in our first commentary, Bruges 1, Aston Villa 3. 9 minutes to go to half-time. Incidentally, when we heard from Laura, Cardiff 1, Burnley 2 at the top end of the table. Big game down at the bottom. Hull City against Plymouth. Hull just outside the relegation zone. That's 0-0, as is Millwall Bristol City. Bristol City have got a chance to boost their playoff aspirations. And Preston North End 0, Swansea City 0 is another half-time score in the Championship. But Arsenal 3-0 up, and for both Aston Villa and Arsenal, both looking good now for the last 8 of the Champions League.
No, absolutely. It's just important Arsenal keep the concentration. I do think a lot has been made about the way they've defended this season, how solid they have been. That gives them a great foundation. Goals haven't quite been there.
De Jong couldn't take it into the penalty area. Perisic tries to keep it alive for PSV, right corner of the box. The other thing to say about that third goal, and you'd already talked about Arsenal's work rate off the ball, but how they hunted for that ball inside the penalty area as the ball goes inside. And this is worked out towards Malacia now. Malacia, left corner of the area, turns, comes forward, creates an opportunity for Schouten, and he just tried a little touch for Gus Thiel, and then there's a foul, and Arsenal will get a free kick outside their own penalty area. But it was the way that, I mean, Moreno was obviously involved as well. Their eagerness, their desire to win the ball back.
Yeah, I think that they've been really tenacious. They've pressed the game well, Arsenal, and maybe got a bit of fortune in the way the ball dropped to Moreno in the end. But it was about persistence and desire from Timber and Moreno when the opportunity arose. I've got to say, really calm with the finish, wasn't he, with that left foot? Just stroked it into the far side of the goal. What a position Arsenal find themselves in.
Well, you can never say never in the game of football, but it should be a formality for Arsenal now to move into the last 8, and they would play the winners of that Real Madrid Atletico Madrid tie that is currently 1-1. But this is BBC Radio 5 Live. 6 minutes to go to the break, and the 1,600 Arsenal fans behind that perspex high up in that far left corner in this 2-tiered stadium must be really enjoying the short hop across to the Netherlands. 3-0 that they lead, and PSV would have hoped for what, well, you have to go back to the new year of 2022 for the last time that they suffered back-to-back home defeats, January, February of that particular year 3 years ago. But that's what they're facing unless they can mount a serious comeback in the second half, as Timber But I'll be honest, Arsenal just look like a threat every time that they're coming forward. Trossard, midway through the PSV half.
Yeah, he's had a really lively game, Trossard, on that left-hand side. The key for Arsenal is the centre-halves can really squeeze. Gabriel and Saliba can really get tight on De Jong. They know he's not going to run him in behind, and that makes their game pretty comfortable this evening. He doesn't have the pace to get away from them. They can really get tight on him, and then he needs runners off him. De Jong, there he is, gives the ball away, poor touch.
Gives it away to Ødegaard, and Ødegaard was sharp as ever, and he's onto it, and Partey now comes forward and then passes the ball back to Saliba. Ødegaard inside the centre circle. Arsenal in their black shirts, white shorts, playing from left to right as we look, leading by 3-0. A lot of the questions in the press conference last night were aimed about, the fact that Arsenal, what are they going to do without the striker? They've been struggling to score goals. How do you change the narrative? Well, Mikel Arteta and his players have certainly changed the narrative here in the Philips Stadion, as they, with 3 goals in the space of probably about 13 minutes, wasn't it? And they're 3-0 up. But an eventful period when you consider that just before that PSV had hit the post and Lewis Skelly should have been sent off. Here is Schouten forward, passes the ball out wide. Perisic, right-hand side with a cross, quickly closed down by Calafiori. PSV in their red and white shirts, playing from right to left, get a corner kick. And let's see if they can now try and find and isolate De Jong to see if he can be a threat here.
Absolutely. They're a tall team, PSV, but Arsenal have got plenty of height and physicality.
Arsenal have got everybody back. It's an out-swinging corner from the right, and the referee has given a penalty to PSV. A penalty to PSV, and a yellow card has been shown as well. It was De Jong that was knocked to the ground. Thomas Partey pleads his innocence, and PSV have maybe got an opportunity to get a foothold back in the game. And there was an arm that was outstretched around the neck of De Jong, and he needed no second invitation to go down.
Yeah, De Jong makes a run across Thomas Partey, and Partey does catch him. This will not be overturned. It's a really daft challenge. He catches De Jong in the face with his right elbow. He's trying to haul him back, shake it ahead from Thomas Partey, and a chance for PSV to not get back into the game, but to get a goal back and maybe give them a bit of hope.
Noah Lang is the man who's placing the ball down on the spot. Talked earlier on in the half about David Raya making that penalty save against Atalanta in the Champions League. PSV. January 2023 was the last time that they failed to score at home. Noah Lang runs up now, and that sequence is extended as right-footed. He hits the ball to the left-hand side of the net, and PSV are on the score sheet, and they have a goal back. It's PSV 1, Arsenal 3.
You know what, there's been fair enough talk about Arsenal's lack of discipline this season, and from a position where they're so comfortable, really daft moment from Thomas Partey, and Lang lashes that in brilliantly, doesn't he, for PSV? Wraps his right foot around the ball. Raya just stands, thinks he's going down the middle, really whips it across him into the corner, and PSV a tiny bit of hope.
57 successive games now that they've scored here in the Philips Stadion. Arsenal though win the ball on the left-hand side. Rice flashes it across the face of goal. What an entertaining half it's been.
It has. It's a Rice rocket, isn't it? Left-hand side of the bar. Do you know what? It's a brilliant save. It's a brilliant fingertip. I think this is heading in from Declan Rice. He hammers it right-footed inside the box, and Benitez gets a finger, one of his big fingers, and tips it around the post, the slightest of touches. What a save that was.
And yet the referee clearly didn't see it, because he gave a goal kick. So all that credit has gone unnoticed in the eyes of the referee. But Timber wins the ball on the right-hand side. Ødegaard looking there towards Wanyeri. And now PSV can come forward with Sabari. He's got Perisic to his left. De Jong peels away towards the right-hand side. There's nobody there to mark De Jong. Gabriel at the minute has got 2 to keep an eye on. PSV are pepped up after that penalty.
Yeah, they have it. Just gives them a lift before half-time. They would have gone in 3 down, get that goal back. Perisic tries to whip across into the box, but their tails are up just before half-time. Brilliant first half, hasn't it been?
Certainly has. This is Ledesma. Can't deliver the cross. Trossard prevents it, standing in front of him. We're inside the last 15 seconds of the first half here on 5 Live and BBC Sounds. PSV 1, Arsenal 3. Schouten bobbles the ball back towards Flamingo. Passes it out towards that far side. Ledesma doesn't go on the outside. Ball played forward by the French defender Boscagli and then cleared away by Trossard, and we're into 4 minutes of added on time here in the Philips Stadion on 5 Live. Perisic, former Tottenham player, hits the ball into a central area. Sabari just bobbled up a little bit, unable to hit it first time, knocks it to the left. Lang has Malacia on the overlap, cuts inside. Ball forward, Schouten looking to turn, side onto goal. Lang, Malacia left-hand side, pressure from PSV, cross comes in, and the header over the top is off target by De Jong. But a real chance for PSV, and Arsenal, all of a sudden, through that ill-discipline, have just offered a route back into the game for the Dutch champions.
Yep, given PSV a leg up, haven't they? And it's a brilliant ball, and De Jong just gets up a little bit too early. He's 6 yards out. He should be burying that. He just mistimes his jump, heads the ball over, but Thomas Partey, that one moment of madness, and all of a sudden PSV, their first real sustained bit of pressure in the Arsenal final third.
4 minutes of added on time then. PSV 1, Arsenal 3, and certainly Peter Bosz, the coach of PSV, will think that this side, they can rescue this. Arsenal will certainly have to work hard. They've been given a free kick that PSV threatened to take quickly, but Rice had that awareness about him just to stand in front of Perisic and just slow it down, and Perisic now will leave it for Ryan Flamingo, the 22-year-old Dutch defender, to take it, who takes it short and then gets it back from Schouten. He's quickly pressed by Ødegaard, and then all of a sudden PSV have to go back midway through their own half. This is for Olivier Boscagli, who's overhit that ball out towards the right-hand side, and Arsenal will have a throw midway through their own half. Wycombe 1, Burton 0 is a half-time score in League One, incidentally.
Yeah, you just feel that Arsenal, they've had so much control in this first half. They need half-time now to regroup and go again.
Well, in the days where people have been dressing up in costumes for the various parades, for the celebration over the last few days here in Eindhoven, the carnival city that is now known as Lampegat for the last few days. Thomas Partey cast in the role of villain for giving away that penalty that has just offered a glimmer of hope for PSV, maybe to still salvage something. As Real Madrid won.
Pooper, you could say.
Good. I just thought I'd leave that for you. Atletico Madrid 1 is the half-time score in the Bernabeu. What an occasion that will be at the Metropolitano Stadium for the return leg next week. Arsenal have a throw in stoppage time, level with the penalty area on the right. The beat of the drum behind that goal, that Arsenal attacking towards our right as the flags flying with the supporters, a chunk of them decked out all in red behind that goal. Played up towards De Jong, coming across was Partey, who incidentally was shown a yellow card for giving away that penalty too. Borussia Dortmund 1, Lille 0 is a half-time score elsewhere in the Champions League. 5 Live final score is available on the red button, the iPlayer, the BBC Sport website as well. As the ball is hit downfield by Flamingo, looking for a free kick for a foul on Perisic, and Gabriel in no uncertain terms tells him to get to his feet.
It's just stupid though from Gabriel, because the ball is overhit from Flamingo. Perisic makes a run in the right channel. The ball's always going to go through to David Raya, and Gabriel checks him.
There's the half-time whistle, and what an eventful half it's been. We've had a disallowed goal for Arsenal early on. They then scored 13 goals in the space of 13 minutes. You had Sabari hitting the post for PSV. Lewis Skelly should have been sent off for a second yellow card. And then Lang with a penalty, getting PSV a goal back. So half-time, the Philips Stadion. PSV 1, Arsenal 3. Kelly.
We will be back with Ian Dennis and Chris Sutton for the second half of that game, and that penalty towards the end for PSV just injecting a little note of jeopardy for Arsenal. Meanwhile, it's the Madrid derby. John Akers is watching.
And it's half-time, and it's some game this. Real Madrid taking the lead through Rodrigo, an incredible finish, cutting in on his left foot at pace, smashed it into the far corner with some bend on it, and the equaliser is just as good, if not better, from Julian Alvarez of Atleti. He picked it up near the byline, rode a challenge, was running back towards his own goal, got to the corner of the penalty area, and right-footed from the left, whipped it, and it went in off the post, a curler into the far post, an absolute stunner. Atleti dominated the end of that half. Real 1, Atleti 1.
Dortmund are 1-0 up at half-time against Lille in their Champions League round of 16 first leg. Karim Adeyemi has scored the goal there. And earlier on in the Champions League, Aston Villa were 3-1 winners at Club Brugge, with the second leg to come at Villa Park. Meanwhile, busy night as well in the EFL. In the Championship, it's Cardiff 1, Burnley 2. Hull 0, Plymouth 0. Or Hull have just gone 1-0 up in that game. Hull City will keep you up to date with all the goals as they go in. It's Millwall 0, Bristol City 0, Preston North End 0, Swansea 0. Let's bring you up to date with everything that's happening in League 1, where it's Bolton 1, Birmingham 1, Huddersfield 0, Wrexham 0. In League 2, at bottom against top, Carlisle have equalised against top of the table Walsall, who were leading by a goal to 0. And all the other latest scores on a packed night available on the BBC Sport website. We will be back for the second half of PSV Eindhoven against Arsenal very shortly. We'll also be previewing tomorrow night's Champions League action after the BBC News with Nick Hatfield.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Listen on BBC Sounds.
The Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has attempted to smooth over his row with Donald Trump. He says he's ready to work under President Trump's strong leadership to negotiate a peace deal with Russia and sign a minerals deal with the US. It follows the bust-up between the pair in the White House last week and then the decision by Mr. Trump to pause military aid to Ukraine. Our international editor Jeremy Bowen thinks President Zelensky was under pressure from his European allies.
In that meeting they had in London at the weekend, one of the messages coming to him was, you've got to make it up with Trump. You've got to make it up with the Americans. You need them, we need them, we all need them. We may find it difficult to deal with this man, but it's a necessity. He used all the kind of requisite flattering language. Though I thought the most interesting part of it all, at the very end, he still talked about security agreements.
Canada's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has called tariffs by the US a very dumb idea. Canada, China and Mexico are all planning to impose their own import taxes on American goods in retaliation. Egypt has put forward a plan for the reconstruction of Gaza that would allow Palestinians to stay there. Arab leaders have been meeting in Cairo to discuss Donald Trump's suggestion that the US take control of the territory. The UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres says Gaza must eventually form part of a Palestinian state.
Israel's legitimate security concerns must be addressed, but that should not be through long-term Israeli military presence in Gaza. Gaza must remain an integral part of an independent, democratic and sovereign Palestinian state, with no reduction in its territory or forced transfer of its population.
A 16-year-old boy has died after being shot in Clapham in South London this afternoon. No arrests have been made over the shooting, which happened close to Stockwell Tube Station. And a biosciences company says it's genetically engineered mice with mammoth-like traits, including long orange hair and more body fat. It's part of the US firm Colossal Biosciences' aim to bring back the woolly mammoth by 2028.
This is the football story of the century.
It's pandemonium, it's ecstasy.
It's an authoritarian regime.
For the past 15 years, English football has been dominated by Manchester City. 8 Premier League titles, 6 League Cups, 3 FA Cups, 1 Champions League. And More than 100 charges.
Somebody turned up at the Etihad Stadium and effectively served papers.
I'm Clive Myrie, and this is Football on Trial, the Manchester City charges.
They believe they've got irrefutable evidence.
Listen on BBC Sounds.
This is 5 Live Sports.
The Champions League with Kelly Cates.
Listen on BBC Sounds.
There's been a goal at Bolton. Sani Radravajula.
And it's gone to the home side. Bolton 2, Birmingham City 1. George Thomason lashing home from 2 yards off a second ball from an in-swinging free kick. Bolton the better side in this one, and the leading against the leaders. Bolton 2, Birmingham City 1.
And you can keep across all the goals as they go in on the video printer alongside our commentary of PSV Eindhoven against Arsenal. And you can check on all the latest scores from League One and elsewhere on the BBC Sport website. Now, the Six Nations is back this weekend. We have commentary of all 3 round 4 matches. It starts with what's being dubbed the title decider. It's Ireland against France from 2:15 on 5 Sports Extra on Saturday. And then it's Scotland against Wales from 4:45. On Sunday, there's commentary of England against Italy from 3 on the BBC Sport website and app. And joining us now, our rugby union correspondent, Chris Jones. Big weekend to come again, Chris. And you've been speaking to the former England captain, Jamie George, because although it is a significant weekend with him getting his 100th cap, it's mixed.
Yeah, George winning his 100th cap this Sunday, about to join an elite group of players to reach that milestone, been an ever-present, hasn't he, in the side since making his debut almost 10 years ago. So we sit down with him today for a special pod, reflecting on that longevity in his career in general. But he's also spoken for the first time today about losing the captaincy ahead of this Six Nations. Remember, George led the side through 2024, but head coach Steve Borthwick has now gone with Maro Itoje as the captain. George then missed the Ireland game right at the start of the Six Nations because of injury. He recovered to play key roles off the bench against Scotland and France, so his value to the squad still very clear, although he did admit to us today that losing the armband took its toll.
It was hard, it was difficult, it was frustrating, and obviously that then makes you question whether you can do it. You know, I won't lie, it didn't go through my head, but... You know,
go through your head as in that might be it?
That might be it, yeah, because I didn't really know how logistically it would work and whether it would be too awkward for me coming back in, and I didn't want to tread on any toes, and genuinely, hand on heart, I just want the best for the team. I want the team to do well, and I don't know, the questions in my mind were going, is it the right thing for the team for me to be back in there? But I felt like I could still contribute. I'm a big cricket fan, and I looked at what Joe Root did, what happened with Joe Root and the England cricket team, and how his batting improved significantly off the back of not being captain anymore, and he looked freed up and he looked to be enjoying himself and still contributing a huge amount and then valuing his leadership. But at the same time, it allowed him to play a lot better, I think. And you could almost see that, and that's been a big inspiration for me. And ultimately it was always about go with your gut, and it changed. Initially I was I don't know whether I can go back. And then, I watched the Ireland game. Obviously I got injured, and then watched the Ireland game, and I thought, all I want to do is be able to be on that field because I miss it. And, I managed to get back.
Do you think Steve knew it was, or being the character that you are, he probably just thought you might just handle it and...
I think he was surprised by me questioning stuff.
Yeah. It hit you for 6 a bit.
Yeah.
And Steve thought it might not. Did he think,
so.
As Ash said, Jamie will brush it off, he's that kind of bloke?
Yeah. I mean, you'd have to ask him, but I think so, yeah. But I think it would hit anyone hard, it was something it was a job that I loved. I loved doing it. I was incredibly proud to be able to do it, and I felt like I was at the start of something, and it was starting to get somewhere.
So it came out of the blue when Steve told you?
Yeah, it was a surprise. Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't give you any inklings that it was coming. So how did he phrase it to you? Just
that he was going to make a change, and he felt like it was the best thing for the team. And honestly, I want the best thing for the team, and the fact that it's Maro taking the captaincy was something that eased me a lot, because I know how good Maro is, and he's someone that I respect massively, and I know he is doing an incredible job. So that certainly helped. I didn't expect it, to be completely honest.
Would you have wanted more of a heads up in an ideal world? Did it be quite close to the announcement?
Maybe if we'd had our time again, maybe a bit more time, before the announcement. It was the day before, so it didn't give me a huge amount of time. I was having question marks about whether I can do it. But he was announcing the squad, and he was like, I kind of need to know. And then I got injured, so it's sort of...
Oh, whether you could come back in as a player,
yeah. So just a bit more time probably would have been the difference.
That's Jamie George on losing his England captaincy, and you can hear the full interview on the Rugby Union Weekly podcast. That's on daily, of course, during the Six Nations, and that episode is out first thing tomorrow morning. Chris is still with us. Chris, we always want sports stars, athletes to talk to us openly. Are you surprised that Jamie George was not only this open about how he felt about the situation, but this open about the details, particularly in the middle of the Six Nations?
Yeah, I'm not surprised because it's Jamie George. Yeah, if it was any other player, any other athlete, you'd expect them to be a little bit more guarded, not to be as articulate and not to be as clear with how they're feeling. But that's the way Jamie George has always been. He's been a brilliant ambassador for this England team for the last decade. He's always communicated in a really honest and open fashion. He led the side with real class. You know, the results when he was captain, 5 wins from 12. He would have wanted a few more wins. He'd have wanted to turn some of those tight losses into the narrow victories England have got the last couple of matches. But throughout the process, he always led the side with class. You know, dead popular member of the squad. And the fact he's been able to come back in as a vice captain, as one of the players, not the leader, and being able to contribute, I suppose shows his worth as a player, because he was excellent, especially off the bench against France. So whether he starts, which is possible, I think he might well get a start against Italy. You'd expect him to make a big contribution and to really enjoy the day. And I think all England fans will wish him really well on Sunday.
Chris, thank you very much for that. And remember, that is available first thing tomorrow morning. As you said, Jamie George, always worth listening to. And that's going to be a great podcast that you can download tomorrow morning. India are into the final of cricket's Champions Trophy after holding their nerve to beat Australia by 4 wickets in Dubai. All the reaction to that is available on the TMS podcast, and that's on BBC Sounds now while you're downloading Rugby Union Weekly. Commentary of the second semi-final between South Africa and New Zealand is on 5 Sports Extra from 8:45 tomorrow morning. And then tomorrow we've got commentary of Liverpool's Champions League round of 16 first leg against Paris Saint-Germain, 8 o'clock tomorrow night on 5 Live and BBC Sounds. Our football correspondent John Murray is there for us. John, this is all sort of taking place now, Kelly, with Arne Slot's comments about Michael Oliver in the background and the fallout of Arne Slot's touchline ban, although to be honest, it's not much fallout really.
No, there wasn't. We came to Paris knowing that Arne Slot was going to be speaking to us tonight, and of course during the course of the day these, as they call them, written reasons were released relating to that red card in the aftermath of the Merseyside derby, when if you remember, he confronted Michael Oliver, the referee, on the pitch after the match, ended up being sent off, got a 2-match touchline ban for Premier League matches, so he'll serve the second one of that on Saturday for the Southampton match at Anfield, fined £70,000 by this independent FA Commission. And so, yes, the written reasons alleged that when Arne Slot shook Michael Oliver's hand, Arne Slot said, if we don't win the league, I'll insert expletive there, have you to thank for that. And Arne Slot, in his defence, disputed the alleged bad language that was used during the course of that sentence, but the Commission decided that it was more likely than not that Arne Slot used the language that was alleged by the referee. And that's why he received the touchline ban and the fine. So, needless to say, when he walked into the very impressive conference centre auditorium at the Parc des Princes earlier on this evening, the first questions that were put to him was, what was his reaction to the releasing of the written reasons? And Arne Slot said, what I said the moment it happened, I was emotional, which was repeating what he's previously said in the aftermath of the incident. But he said, I chose to go on the pitch instead of staying calm. He said, I should set a better example and not go into this situation again. But I thought it was interesting, Kelly, in the latter part of that answer, he said, Michael Oliver's been in the spotlight, and he effectively said it's best to not go any further with that, which I thought was interesting, because it sounded as though there was a compassion for Michael Oliver, who of course has had been highlighted for a number of shortcomings recently. So it sounded compassionate, but at the same time also highlighted the fact that Michael Oliver has had a number of shortcomings recently.
John, we're going to have to head off because they're about to get underway in Eindhoven for the second half between PSV and Arsenal. And given how eventful the first half was, we don't want to miss a second of it. But that game will have all the build-up. PSG against Liverpool from 7 tomorrow night. Commentary from 8 o'clock. And of course, you'll be able to hear that on 5 Live Sport. Meanwhile, we are heading back to Eindhoven. PSV just giving themselves a little bit of hope with that late penalty in the first half. But Arsenal are 3-1 up as we head into the second half in the company of Chris Sutton and Ian Dennis.
Thank you, Kelly, and I can tell you first of all as well that PSV have made a change. It's like for like in many ways, because Adama Nagalo, who's a Burkina Faso international, when he signed from Nordsjælland, joined in September, making his 8th appearance for the club tonight. The 22-year-old defender, he has replaced Ryan Flamingo in the heart of their defence as we are underway. BBC Radio 5 Live and also available on the BBC Sounds app. Walter Benitez then in goal. Ledesma, Boscagli, Nagalo and Malacia the defence now for PSV in their red and white shirts and black shorts. Schouten, Sabari, Perisic, Thiel, Noah Lang and De Jong, their captain. Arsenal in their black shirts and white shorts, unchanged at the start of the second half, but remember they did make that alteration during the first 45 minutes where Calafiori came on for Lewis Skelly. So Raya in goal, Timber, Gabriel, Saliba and Calafiori, Rice, Partey, Ødegaard, Nwaneri, Moreno and Trossard for Arsenal. Other goals elsewhere in the Football League tonight. Hull lead Plymouth by a goal to nil, Bolton 2, Birmingham 1, Bradford City 2, Cheltenham 0, Millwall 0, Bristol City 1. That's in the Championship. In fact, Bradford City have got a third now at Valley Parade. Bradford City 3, Cheltenham 0 as Arsenal are attacking with Nwaneri on the right-hand side. Low ball in towards the penalty area, falls loose, Ødegaard scores, tucks it away, and Arsenal, within just over 60 seconds of the restart, open up that 3-goal cushion yet again. PSV 1, Arsenal 4, and buried well by Ødegaard.
It was, but it's all about Nwaneri on that right-hand side. It's a brilliant step over. He leaves Malacia for dead, drives the outside, fires a crossing, and Benitez parries the ball into the path of Ødegaard, similar to the one in the first half, which Raya parried to Sabari. It's all about Nwaneri, that step over, the crossing. Benitez sets it up to Ødegaard, who's 8 yards out, just has to compose himself, and he does do brilliantly, and just strolls onto the ball. He's got all of the far side of the goal to aim at, and he rolls the ball in. That's a brilliant start to the second half for Arsenal. That should have put the tie to bed, and really, from Arsenal's point of view, hopefully demoralise PSV.
And should snuff out any hopes of a PSV fight back in the second half from Martin Ødegaard, that takes him just to 4 goals for the season, and also a penny for the thoughts of Sabari, because in that similar situation in the first half he hit the post, but Ødegaard was so composed. On a busy night and an important night of the Football League, I'll resume those scores in a moment, but Calafiori here is forward on the left-hand side, ball in towards Trossard, tucked in by Trossard. What a start to the second half. 2 goals in the space of 2 minutes. Trossard with a little dink over the top of the goalkeeper Benitez. And Arsenal have equalled their joint biggest away win in the Champions League. 5-1 here in Eindhoven.
This is an absolute mauling. It really is. What a phenomenal performance from Arsenal, that decided to perform well on the home patch in the Champions League. Calafiori, the substitute, on. Good link-up play with Trossard, who backheels the ball. Calafiori follows his pass on and just feeds the ball into Trossard, who made another forward run, and the finish is delicious from Trossard from the angle. Lifts the ball right-footed over the sprawling Benitez. He makes it look easy. It was tricky Trossard. Who can believe it? Arsenal have struggled to score goals as of late, and have come to Holland and absolutely demolished PSV.
5-1. You might recall that scoreline when they were playing against Inter back in 2003 in San Siro. They matched that 5-1 scoreline early this season. I was in Lisbon to see them dismantle Sporting. But bearing in mind that we are only 4 minutes into the second half, they could easily add to it. Hull City 2, Plymouth 0 in that vital game down at the bottom of the Championship. Rotherham United 1, Leyton Orient 0 is the latest score in League 1. Notts County 0, Barrow 2 is the latest in League 2. In fact, Notts County have now got a goal back, so Notts County 1, Barrow 2. As the cross comes in for PSV and cleared away with ease by Partey. The Abbey Stadium, it's Cambridge United 0, Stevenage 1, and you're up to date here on BBC Radio 5 Live. And Arsenal will be in the having that luxurious position of maybe just looking to keep players fresh for the return leg against PSV with the handsome cushion that they have here as Malacia with a cross headed away by Saliba inside that penalty area, and PSV are facing their heaviest defeat in European competition once again at the hands of Arsenal, who have been ruthless in front of goal, and they're looking hungry. Nwaneri running forward, right corner of the area, sends over the cross, and N'Golo clears it away, left-footed volley, only as far as Thomas Partey, 30 yards out, passes the ball out towards Nwaneri. He is some prospect, isn't he?
Yeah, he really is. Had a massive impact on this evening. Always involved, always creative. Got that really important second goal.
Lang running forward, edge of the area, cuts inside and shoots! Right-footed wide. Certainly haven't been short of being entertained tonight, have we?
I mentioned him before the game, Lang. Direct right-footer on the left-hand side. Loves to come inside on his right foot. Just cuts across the ball there. It's only half a yard wide of David Raya's left-hand post. What, 22 yards out, and he got the shot off.
It's Arsenal with Ødegaard. Moreno then will drop, passes the ball back to Raya. You might be able to hear the Arsenal support, 1,600 of them, making their voices heard at this stage inside the Philips Stadion. But they are in the dream scenario, aren't they? Leading by 5 goals to 1. You know, you think about the youngsters of Lewis Skelly and Nwaneri. They have also got another one to come off the conveyor belt. You wait till you hear the name of Max Dowman if you haven't already. As Malacia's cross from the left on the volley, Perisic comes off an outstretched leg of Gabriel and goes behind for a corner kick. PSV might be 5-1 down, but they're still fighting.
Absolutely nothing to lose, have they? 3-0 down, that's the way I think we always felt that PSV, you know, would have a go. It's a good volley, good cushion volley from Perisic, and an important block from Gabriel. I think that was heading into the far corner.
It's going to be a corner kick. Should be an outswinger to be taken on this near side by Noah Lang. In it comes. You can hear the cry of away. Comes to Perisic on the edge of the area on the half volley. He clips it back in. De Jong was there with a header. Used his strength to try and hold off the challenge of Gabriel. And it was actually an outstretched arm by Raya that turned the ball behind for a corner kick.
He does well, De Jong. And Gabriel, do you know what? I think he just was a little shove. The angle against De Jong. He was trying to head the ball back across into the far corner. Really tight the angle, but it's an important right hand from Raya.
Another corner kick for PSV, playing from left to right as we look. On this near side to right, an outswinger. Taken by Lang, deep. Headed back by De Jong. Gabriel heads it up rather than away. Caught by Raya at around head height. Now they break. Quickly released downfield towards Trossard. Malacia lifts the ball up and then fouls Trossard. The referee says no. Free kick, much to the disagreement of Leandro Trossard. Grimsby Town 1, Tranmere Rovers 1, and there's been a third goal in the Bernabeu. John Akins.
Goal for Real Madrid. Real 2, Atleti 1, and it's a brilliant finish from Brahim Diaz. Step over, corner of the 6-yard box, right foot into the corner. Really good game. Real 2, Atleti 1.
Cross comes in from Perisic. The winners of this, that should be Arsenal when you 5-1 up in the first leg, will take on either Real Madrid or Atletico in that quarter-final, and then waiting for them in the semi-final, the way that it's all been predetermined now in this new format. Paris Saint-Germain, Liverpool, and the winners of Villa Aston Aston Villa against Bruges, as Wanyeri glides forward and runs with real purpose, and Wanyeri with a shot, spooned away, comes back towards Wanyeri, clips it towards the far post, just over the head of Rice. He was in full flow, wasn't he?
He was, and Declan Rice had made a really good run to his right-hand side, but the space opened up for Wanyeri on the left. He drove into the box, really positive, playing a smart save.
Back it goes to Raya. Aston Villa earlier 3-1 winners in Bruges in our first commentary here on 5 Live today.
And that's the issue. De Jong actually made a run into the channel, would have been through on goal, but just doesn't have the legs. He's a bit of a cart horse. He's a reference point for PSV, but doesn't have any sort of pace.
Ødegaard infield, Trossard, curling effort, edge of the D, blocked by Schouten, comes to Ødegaard, nice cushion touch, right corner of the area. Partey joins the attack, 25 yards out, short ball. Wanyeri looks for the return ball, gets it, gets the shot away quickly as well off his left boot, but it was rising on the half volley, and off target it goes. PSV 1, Arsenal 5. There's been another goal in League One at Bolton. Sani Rubabachila.
And it's Bolton with a third. Bolton 3, league leaders Birmingham City 1. Brilliant goal on the turn inside the box by Aaron Collins. Bolton 3, Birmingham City 1.
So Birmingham City, the leaders, who still have a healthy advantage at the top of the table. Currently, it's 9 points clear of Wickham. Wickham, who are leading Burton Albion by 1-0. And Wrexham still drawing away at Huddersfield Town. And 4th place Stockport County are behind at Northampton Town by 1-0. Newport County 3, Gillingham 1, Swindon 2, Salford City 1. And you're up to date on BBC Radio 5 Live. As PSV, 5-1 down, come forward with Lang, 30 yards out, passes the ball towards Ledesma, sends over a first-time cross from the right, too deep, and Wanyeri is there. Fraser Dayton at Huddersfield.
73 minutes gone and Wrexham have taken the lead. They rolled the dice, a double substitution. Among them was Stephen Fletcher. It was pandemonium at the back. The ball was all over the place before Fletcher, from very close range, managed to bundle it over the line. Huddersfield 0, Wrexham 1.
Needed to keep pace with Wickham, who are ahead against Burton at the top for that second automatic promotion spot. Salford City have got an equaliser at the county ground in League 2. Swindon Town 2, Salford City 2. 5 Live final score is available on the BBC iPlayer, the website and the red button, as PSV stopped in their tracks by Lang. That was by Trossard in the centre of midfield. Ødegaard goes in for a 50-50 challenge and comes out against it by Boskagli, who sends over the cross. De Jong dangled a leg at the near post. Out of play it goes for a throw.
Yeah, a bit sloppy from Martin Ødegaard, centre of the pitch for Arsenal. The ball went out left. De Jong, good movement across Saliba, but Saliba made the challenge.
Here is Perisic, right corner of the area, works it out to Ledesma, running forward at right back, doesn't deliver the cross first time. Back to Perisic, the veteran, now delivers an in-swinging cross, goes through a crowd of bodies and out of play, goes for a goal kick. Wickham have got a second goal, incidentally. So Wickham 2, Burton Albion 0 is a latest score for second place Wickham in League One, as Arsenal are on course to win 5 successive games in the Champions League, the first time in a single campaign since they reached a final when they were runners-up in 2006, as Raya is just being spoken to by the referee.
Yeah, well, there's this new, is it the 6-second rule IFAB are bringing in? You not heard about that, no?
Yeah, that was it, not 8 seconds.
I think is it not going down, is it 8 seconds, is it?
Yeah.
8 second, that's it, that's why you hadn't heard of the 6-second rule.
Out of play goes for a throw.
Quite an interesting concept that, though, isn't it?
It is.
You know, goalkeepers hang on to the ball for longer than 8 seconds. The opposing team will get a corner.
Interested to hear the thoughts of the two managers. We are on air until 10:30 with Tony Livesey taking over Late Night Livesey. We'll try and bring you as much live reaction as we can. If not, it will of course be in the 5 Live Football Daily podcast, and I'm sure we'll be looking ahead as well to Paris Saint-Germain against Liverpool, our next commentary tomorrow night. All the build-up from 7, but the game gets underway at 8 on 5 Live, where Arsenal are leading by 5 goals to 1. and it's actually the 5th time this season that they have registered that scoreline. And Ødegaard, acres of space, running forward at will against the PSV defence who backpedal. Back off him, edge of the area, comes towards Wanyeri. Wanyeri with a shot, headed up in the air by Boskagli. PSV look ragged.
Yeah, well, what PSV, they're going for, aren't they? They're pressing Arsenal high up the pitch, and Arsenal patient at the back. Eventually, Ødegaard freed himself up in the middle of his own half and just drove to the edge of the box, and eventually the combination play has been really good around the box, and Wanyeri gets a shot off. Important header from Boskagli.
As the corner kick for Arsenal, playing from right to left as we look. What a night it's been. They've still got half an hour. You think that they could have got the ability to add further goals to this handsome scoreline already. Corner kick that Rice will take. In it comes. Downward header by Gabriel. Down into the ground and heads it off target. And it'll be a goal kick, Chris Sutton.
You normally see him bury those sort of chances. Gabriel peeling away at the far post. We're just seeing Malacia and Timber. Malacia manhandling Timber into the side netting. I tell you, he's really lucky to get away with that. Arsenal could well have had a penalty. Can't defend like that.
Mentioned the European commentaries to come on 5 Live. Just not tomorrow, and also Thursday evening, Real Sociedad against Manchester United at the slightly earlier time of 5:45. And then we're reunited together on Saturday, aren't we, for Liverpool against Southampton, the usual goal service at 3, and the usual chauffeur service for me to drive you back to Salford as well, no doubt, at no extra cost.
If that's okay, if you don't mind, it'd be very nice.
Any more jibes about me looking like Peter Bosch and you'll be hitchhiking across the M62, I can tell you. Arsenal 5-1 to the good. Ledesma coming forward for PSV. Turns short of the halfway line. Diagonal ball forward along the ground. Sabari looks for the run now. And then it's played in towards De Jong. From that low ball in that came in from Gus Thiel. And they couldn't get on the end of it. And now Calafiore can come forward for Arsenal. There is a greater fluency about Arsenal when they attack. Here is Trossard, but he was offside on the left. Free kick to PSV. As we've just passed the hour mark, 62 minutes played. Only one loss in their last 12 away games since the start of November for Arsenal before tonight. But PSV are attacking on that far side. Lang, left-hand side of the area, lays it back. Malacia, just outside the box. Timber waits. Rice comes to help out and support. And then Malacia fires it across from that left-hand side. Raya tried to swat it away with his right hand, and it will go out for a throw.
Yeah, they load the box. PSV, I think 4 or 5 players really getting in the box and attacking it, but Malacia tries to create a yard of space, but overhits the cross. Really poor from Malacia. Decent crossing opportunity.
Here is Raya taking his time with the goal kick, hits it long. Moreno with a flick on header. Trossard tries to get there, cleared away by Ledesma, the right back for PSV. And that was a high boot by Calafiore. It'll be a free kick to PSV Eindhoven. But those 2 goals so early on in the second half really did knock the stuffing out of the Dutch champions.
Yeah, I think really important for Arsenal, because at 3-1, sense belief from the home support inside this stadium. Arsenal, yeah, bang bang at the start of the second half. Mikel Arteta would have certainly warned his players. I think Arsenal maybe needed half-time just to reset. They came out all guns blazing, really, and those 2 goals, and it feels like it's tie over, but Arsenal just need to manage this game now, see it through.
Well, Lang, forward ball, Sabari. I think there's going to be a double change in the offing for PSV, but unless something dramatic happens in the next 25 minutes or so, this tie is all but over. We heard Ali Bruce Ball and Pat Nevin saying something similar early on when they brought commentary of Bruges 1, Aston Villa 3. And Ali was saying that whichever tie is going to be alive will be on 5 Live next week, and the other will be on Sports Extra. Well, both English sides are looking extremely healthy to make their way through to the last 8. Ledesma infield, Shout looks for the return ball. It's just a little chip, but it was lacked the power to get through Arsenal's back line. Calafiore was there, and now he steps out of defence with the interception and feeds the ball forward to Ødegaard. And this is where sometimes PSV, the way that they play with Peter Bosz, the way that he favours that attacking style of football, they can be aggressive, they like to press, but they can leave themselves vulnerable on the counter-attack in the transition. As Bakayoko is going to be coming on. Ledesma is one of the players who's going to be going off, and also Rick Karsdorp is going to be coming on. So Karsdorp will replace Ledesma. That'll be like for like, and then Bakayoko will be coming on, and the player who's going off is De Jong. So we'll wait to see who will lead the line, but on his 50th appearance in the Champions League, the veteran captain of PSV unable to add a goal to his tally of what has been a rather chastening night for the Dutch champions. Northampton 1, Stockport County 1. So Stockport County have got an equaliser in League One. Arsenal are attacking with Rice, left-hand side of the penalty area. In the Championship, Millwall 0, Bristol City 2. So Bristol City could move level with West Bromwich Albion for those playoff positions. They were 9th at the start of play. They won't go into the automatic playoff spots, but they will be level with West Brom with that win there by 2-0. Let's get an update from the Bernabeu. Real Madrid, Atletico with John Akers.
It's Real 2, Atleti 1, and it is a brilliant game. Atleti still very much in this. They've been scoring loads of late goals in the Champions League. Every goal has been brilliantly taken. Real Madrid are the ones on the attack at the moment, and Gallagher's just come on for Atletico. Atleti with a bit of time to try and get back into this. 22 minutes remaining. Real 2, Atleti 1.
Cheers, John. Borussia Dortmund 1, Lille 0 remains the other scoreline. Bruges 1, Aston Villa 3 was the result, as you may have heard on 5 Live earlier. We're almost midway through the second half here on 5 Live and BBC Sounds. David Raya is well outside of his penalty area. The sweeper keeper getting involved in the build-up of play as he then passes it back towards Saliba. Hits it long. Timber was the most advanced player for Arsenal, and he tried to win a throw. He actually thought he'd got a throw, but it goes in the other direction. Krista.
That's amazing, that isn't it? The Arsenal right back, the furthest player forward, but has left space now for PSV to exploit on that left.
Perisic will run forward on the left. He switched flanks. He was starting the game on the right. Lille have equalised, incidentally, in Dortmund. Lille, a very talented side. Saw them earlier on in the league phase in this Champions League campaign against Liverpool, and they've got that equaliser. So Borussia Dortmund 1, Lille 1 is a latest score. So we are midway through the second half. PSV 1, Arsenal 5 here on 5 Live. Gabriel back to Saliba. Once again, Raya eager to come out of his penalty area to make himself available, just to give Arsenal another option. Talking of another option, Laura Kenyon at Cardiff.
Cardiff 1, Burnley 2, 5 Cardiff substitutes, one of them Callum Robinson attempting an ambitious long-range lob from just inside the Burnley half, saw the keeper just off his line. Right idea, didn't quite execute, but Burnley rattled with just over 5 minutes of normal time to go. Cardiff 1, Burnley 2.
Arsenal, who are leading by 5-1. There's a stoppage in play on the far side, but they are actually unbeaten in 5 home games against PSV ahead of next week's return leg, which actually is the most home games they've played in Europe against an opponent without losing from an Arsenal point of view. 5-1, it is the dream scenario for Mikel Arteta, given the circumstances.
Yeah, absolutely, but I said before the start of the game, that's...
Timber's shown a yellow card for time wasting.
I think that's a little bit harsh. I really do. No, I said that Arsenal this season, Ian, I think that have they hit the levels of last season? They do need to be careful. Arsenal squeezing up the pitch, Raya now taking that free kick. They've still shown great consistency. It's just that Liverpool have been so phenomenal, haven't they? this season in the Premier League, and Arsenal have fallen short with regards to the domestic cups. But I certainly wouldn't rule them out of winning this Champions League. I think it's fairly open. There's no real outstanding team. Arsenal on the day could beat the Liverpool. Absolutely sure of that. Beat the Real Madrid, but especially if they get Saka back, get Martinelli back, more options in forward areas.
Well, they'll certainly need them back, because actually all three English sides are in the much tougher half of the draw, and certainly that is illustrated with the winners taking on either Real Madrid or Atletico in the quarter-finals. Liverpool are still ranked by Opta as the favourites for the competition, but Arsenal, bearing in mind they've only conceded 4 goals in this Champions League campaign, they did finish third, but it is their best opportunity of silverware, given the fact that they're 13 points adrift of Liverpool at the top of the Premier League. But with 20 minutes remaining, they lead 5-1. Ball almost thrown it through to Trossard. Calafiori wins the challenge. It does reach Trossard. He looks to go around the goalkeeper. Flag has stayed down, and then the flag is raised as Trossard puts the ball in the back of the net, and Arsenal will have a second disallowed goal tonight.
Yeah, I did think he was in an offside position,
and he was.
Trossard, as a challenges, and I think Calafiori, the ball ricochets off him and finishes it brilliantly, doesn't he? Trossard goes round Benitez in the PSV goal and pops it in. This will be disallowed.
Arsenal are going to make a change. It's going to be a double change as well. They have got Manchester United away on Sunday before the return leg. You'll be able to hear that actually commentary from Old Trafford, 4:30 on Sunday afternoon on BBC Radio 5 Live. So Zinchenko has come on, and it is Nwaneri who has gone off, and Raheem Sterling has also come on. So it was Raheem Sterling coming on as with Zinchenko, and it was Nwaneri going off as well as Thomas Partey. They're the double change that has just been made by Mikel Arteta, and he can make those changes when you've got 19 minutes remaining and you've got a 4-goal cushion.
Yeah, Nwaneri and cotton wool.
Here is Ødegaard out towards Raheem Sterling. He's going through the longest drought of his career, his club career. Hasn't scored in 18, and against this beleaguered side, you would think he's got the perfect opportunity to end that drought here tonight. Lincoln City 4, Crawley Town 1, Crewe 0, Fleetwood 3. Latest scores in League 1 and League 2 respectively. Little push there on Zinchenko, not spotted by the referee, as it now reaches Trossard at a walking pace infield. Ødegaard, little flick round the corner, finds Rice, forward ball. Moreno passes the ball back with his back to goal. Arsenal in their black shirts keeping the ball very, very well at a nice, comfortable pace as they are comfortably in control.
Yeah, Rice has just slotted back in front of the Arsenal back line in that number 6 pivot position where Thomas Partey was playing. I tell you, Rice gave them so much drive and thrust, didn't he, in the first half, and at the start of the second half playing higher up in that role, good forward runs. He's had a tremendous game.
You can hear the olays from the Arsenal supporters as Ødegaard comes forward, opens up for Ødegaard, and Ødegaard hammers the ball past the goalkeeper. He got a hand to it, but Benitez couldn't keep it out. They might not have any strikers, but there's no shortage of goals for Arsenal. It's their biggest win of the season. PSV 1, Arsenal 6.
Yeah, 6 of the best. Brilliant from Martin Ødegaard. He's so aware, and he just spots where the space is, drives to the edge of the box, and you cannot leave a player of his class, of his quality, that sort of time and space, and he goes for power. I think Benitez will be disappointed that he doesn't do better and keep it out. But what an evening for Arsenal. Great little turn, wasn't it, for Marino to release Ødegaard, and he's got all the freedom in the world, drifts inside, and he just goes for power. 20 yards out, not closed down, and Benitez actually gambles and starts to dive to his left-hand side, and the ball think there's a bit of movement on it, a bit of swerve on it. With poor goalkeeping, weak right hand. What a night for Mikel Arteta and Arsenal.
And as we'd mentioned earlier on, with their joint biggest away win in the Champions League, that now has been eclipsed. It is their biggest win on their travels, 6-1 that they lead, inflicting the heaviest home defeat for PSV. And if PSV are not careful, they could actually suffer their heaviest defeat in European competition, full stop, when they lost away to Saint Etienne back in 1979 by 6-0. Paddy Madden, incidentally, has been sent off in League Two for Chesterfield as they trail away at Colchester. Colchester 1, Chesterfield 0. But Arsenal here, 6-1 up. And the supporters of PSV are heading for their exits in their droves. There is many now an empty seat, an empty red seat in the Philips Stadion here in Eindhoven with 15 minutes remaining. Arsenal, a demolition job.
Oh, it is. A couple of games where they hadn't scored and not really the creativity in the Arsenal team. Worries about whether they'd have the firepower for the rest of this season. But they've created many an opportunity tonight, but absolutely ruthless, haven't they?
Ruthless with a capital R. And still just under a quarter of an hour remaining. This has been some performance, bearing in mind the players that they are missing. Gabriel Jesus, Kai Havertz, Martinelli, Saka. As it also means that Mikel Arteta can make further changes, and Ben White, who had that absence of 22 games out with a knee problem from November. He's come off the bench in the last 2 games for a total of 9 minutes off the bench. He can add another 14 minutes to that tally. And Mikel Moreno goes off as well, as Kieran Tierney comes on for another run out for Arsenal at the end of his Arsenal career before he moves on at the end of the season.
Mikel Arteta just seeing how many left backs he can actually get on the pitch. So it looks like Tierney will play up one and wide left, and I think Trossard has gone centrally, hasn't he? He's played that position before, that sort of false 9.
Yes, he has. So they're the changes that have been made with 13 minutes remaining.
It's not bad, is it? You can bring Ben White on. It's one of your subs as well.
Players coming back, you know, as you say, by the time that they do face either one of the Madrid sides in the quarter-finals, might hope for either a Martinelli or a Saka to be back in contention by then. Saka, who they have sorely missed, but here 6-1. Certainly puts their previous failures in front of goal in recent games as a distant memory. Bradford City have beaten Cheltenham Town by 3-0 in League Two, as Arsenal are attacking again, and on the stretch the ball is put out of the penalty area as Arsenal try and win it back over on that far side. So Bradford have beaten Cheltenham 3-0. They've actually moved to within 2 points of Walsall, who were actually still playing at Carlisle. There was a time not that long ago that they were actually 17 points behind Walsall, and now the lead is just 2 at the top of League Two. I'll run through all the latest scores for you once that they're all in. But Arsenal leading PSV 6-1, and those Dutch supporters that are still here try and create an atmosphere of defiance despite their side being humbled here at home.
You mentioned there's a few who have left, but fair play to PSV getting behind the team. 6-1 down. They have been hammered on the own patch, but sticking with the team. Good run in this competition they've had. They're going to go out now to Arsenal. They're not going to turn this round.
Well, they're certainly ramping up the volumes. Now the red and white flags, despite the scoreline, are flying, albeit a little forlornly, as Arsenal deal with a corner kick. Malacia hooks it back goalwards, and there to head it away was Saliba. Calafiores lifts it forward, and just tidying things up at the back and running back into the midfield was Buscagli, who's taken over the captain's armband since De Jong left the field of play. But we've got just over 10 minutes remaining here on 5 Live. Lang cuts in off that left touchline. Hull City 2, Plymouth 0 is a full-time scoreline in the Championship. And Garlo passes it out towards Bakayoko. Made little impression since he's come on as he tries to run forward, sends over a cross, and it's headed away by Ben White behind for a corner kick. Chris Sutton.
It's good from Bakayoko on that right-hand side. Did for Tierney. Threw a step over, got to the byline. Decent defensive header, I think it was Ben White.
Ball pass forward, interception from Trossard. I mean, certainly with good reason. PSV's coach Peter Bosz might argue about had Lewis Skelly been sent off as Raheem Sterling runs forward and he's stopped by Perisic. I mean, at that point they were only 2-0 down. As we get an update from Cardiff in the Championship with Laura Kenyon.
It's Cardiff 1, Burnley 2, but Cardiff threatening an equaliser in the last minute of added time. Will Fish at the back post slotting just wide. Just 9 league goals Burnley have conceded all season. Never 2 in one game, not this season. Still it's Cardiff 1, Burnley 2.
We've got about 10 minutes remaining. PSV 1, Arsenal 6. Every outfield player is in the PSV half. Ball by Gabriel. It was not very well dealt with by Karsdorp. Tierney clips it into Zinchenko. Zinchenko, nice touch on the volley. Quickly off his left boot and deflected behind. But the flag was up anyway. It'll be a free kick to PSV. Full time now in Cardiff. Laura.
Burnley held on, Cardiff 1, Burnley 2. All the goals in the first half, Burnley taking a 2-goal lead but pegged back when Yusuf Salek headed home at the back post. Numerous times Cardiff threatened to equalise, Salek striking the crossbar, but Burnley held on to make it 22 league games unbeaten, close the gap on top 2. Cardiff 1, Burnley 2.
Yeah, they moved within 2 points now of Sheffield United. Perisic is forward, shot takes the deflection. Calafiori's downward header in the penalty area, dug out by Tierney and cleared for Arsenal. The 3 other results, incidentally, in the Championship: Hull City 2, Plymouth 0. That's a massive result for Hull City, who were just outside the relegation zone. It means that Cardiff now drop to that position, although there's a 5-point gap between Cardiff and the relegation places. But Hull City beating Plymouth, who stay in the bottom 3. Millwall 0, Bristol City 2. It means Bristol City move level with West Bromwich Albion in contention for a playoff spot. They're 7th. And Preston North End 0, Swansea City 0 is how it finished at Deepdale. It's all over at Huddersfield in League One. Fraser Dainton.
It looked as though it was going to be a stalemate up until 73 minutes when Wrexham made a double substitution. A long cross into the box, a header from Sam Smith, and Lee Nichols, the Huddersfield keeper, couldn't keep hold of it. Stephen Fletcher said thanks very much. He'd just come on as a substitute, and that proved to be decisive. That's now 6 games that Huddersfield have gone without scoring a goal at home, 7 without a win. Huddersfield 0, Wrexham 1.
Buscagli and Sabari are the players who are coming off. They're going to be replaced for PSV by Armando Obispo, who's a Dutch defender, so he will replace the French central defender. PSV have got a corner kick. He's straight into the heart of the action. In comes the corner kick on the far side that is actually very well claimed by David Raya at full stretch, and then he hits that flat delivery looking to release Declan Rice. What an engine. Declan Rice latches onto that, running forward with so much enthusiasm, great energy levels. He wins the corner kick. What an effort that was.
Yeah, he's given Arsenal so much thrust this game, and what an athlete he is. It's a great claim from Raya. Came out on the 6-yard line, claimed the ball, and then that quick kick, flat low kick, and Rice drove down the pitch and wins his team a corner.
Joey Veerman, incidentally, was the other player to come on for PSV, replacing Sabari in the midfield. Arsenal leading by 6-1, 7 minutes remaining. 5 Live and BBC Sounds. They've got a corner kick due to the efforts of Declan Rice, who's taken in a couple of deep breaths after that lung-bursting run, and he'll deliver the corner kick. Delivers it deep towards the far side, hit by Zinchenko and blocked, and goes behind for another corner kick. Full time at Bolton. And it could be an upset for the leaders. Sally.
Yeah, Bolton 3, leaders Birmingham 1. Bolton blistering, 1 down after Hansen's first time finish. Cancelled out by McAtee, 6 from the break. Thomason smashed from point blank for a second, and the fast feet of Aaron Collins sealed a wonderful Wanderers third. Birmingham were 12 clear, 18 unbeaten. Promotions on, but a tough night and a tough sheet. Bolton Wanderers 3, Birmingham City 1.
Yeah, they've still got a 9-point lead at the top of the table. They're still playing, incidentally. Wickham leading Burton Albion by 2-0. That's why it's a 9-point lead for Birmingham. Reading 0, Exeter 0 is still a latest score as well in the other 8 o'clock kickoff in League One. As Arsenal have a corner kick from that far side, the right, headed out at their post, and then Lang gets it further away. The other results, incidentally, in that division: Blackpool 0, Peterborough United 0. Bolton, as we've just heard, beating Birmingham 3-1. Cambridge 0, Stevenage 1, so Cambridge remain in trouble. Charlton beating Barnsley by a 0-0. Huddersfield 0, Wrexham 1, so still a 2-point gap between Wickham and Wrexham as a result. Lincoln 4, Crawley 1. Mansfield Wigan was goalless. Northampton 1, Stockport County 1. Rotherham beat Leyton Orient by a 0-0. And Shrewsbury Town 0, Bristol Rovers 0. I'll give you the League Two full-time results in a moment, but Arsenal are attacking. They're leading 6-1. Ball threaded through. Calafiori on the end of it. Calafiori's tucked it away. Lovely finish by Calafiori. Right-footed in off the left-hand post. No strikers, but the goals are flowing. Arsenal are recording their biggest win away from home in European competition in some style.
Yeah. It's a brilliant finish. Calafiori, the Arsenal left-back, finds himself making a run inside the PSV box on the right-hand side. The move starts with Declan Rice, just pops the ball into Martin Odegaard, who peels out on the right-hand side, and the deftness of the pass. It's a pass of absolute brilliance outside of his left boot. Calafiori isn't tracked, runs on, and just feeds the ball past Benitez in the PSV goal. Does it go in off the post? Yes, it does. It's a great finish from Calafiori, but the pass from Martin Odegaard, a work of art in that.
Superb goal from Arsenal. They're actually now very, very close to their biggest win in European competition, full stop. That was a 7-0 victory against Standard Liège in 1993 in the European Cup Winners' Cup, as Bakayoko dances his way in towards the penalty area and caught by David Raya. And if they weren't leaving before, then they're definitely leaving now, the PSV supporters, who have been battered. Accrington 2, MK Dons 0 as a result in League Two. Bradford City beating Cheltenham by 3-0. So Bradford City moved within 2 points of the leaders Walsall, who drew 1-1 away at Carlisle United, bottom of the table. Bromley 1, Doncaster 0 is now finished. Colchester 1, Chesterfield 0. Crewe 1, Fleetwood 4 is still a latest. Grimsby 1, Tranmere 1. Morecambe beat Wimbledon by a 0-0. Newport County 3, Gillingham 1. Notts County 1, Barrow 2. Port Vale Harrogate Town finished 0-0 at Vale Park, and it was also level between Swindon and Salford City, 2-2 at the county ground. 3 minutes remaining. Mikel Arteta will be beaming.
Absolutely will be. What a performance from his goal-shy Arsenal team. 7 goals away from home. Champions League, last 16. Coming to the design capital of the Netherlands. Arsenal will have grand designs on winning this competition. Keep performing like this and they'll go close.
Well, we've been talking about the carnival here in Eindhoven. Arsenal are having their own party, and it's not Thomas. 2 minutes remaining. What a scoreline, what a performance. And PSV will just be wanting this night to finish. Or was David Raya with a bit of an error, missed kick outside of his penalty area. We thought, didn't we, that Thomas Partey, that show of ill discipline that gave PSV a penalty just before half-time that was converted, it could have made for an interesting second half. But those 2 goals in 2 minutes at the start, just after the restart, absolutely gave PSV no chance. And ever since then, it has just been all Arsenal.
Yeah, they have been in total control, other than that little 5 minutes before half-time. Say we'd like about PSV and their recent form not being great. This is always going to be a test for Arsenal, but they have blown PSV away.
Just over 60 seconds remaining. The yellow card is going to be shown to Malacia. for the challenge on White, who has stayed down. It was a little heavy. White, though, is now back to his feet, which will be reassuring given the knee problem that he's had this season.
Malacia there goes in, studs up. Maybe fortunate to get away with just a yellow there. He's had a frustrating evening, that Manchester United low knee. Malacia.
Crew 1, Fleetwood 4 is confirmation of that full-time scoreline in League 2. So we've given you all the scores in the Football League, apart from those two latest ones, those 8 o'clock kickoffs in League 1. This, of course, was an 8 o'clock kickoff in the Champions League, and Arsenal hitting PSV for 7. And what has been an excellent night for Mikel Arteta's side. Just makes the return leg next week extremely routine.
Takes the pressure off, doesn't it? It'll be a formality. They've defended well as well, Ian, haven't they? You spoke about PSV's home record and their ability to create chances and score goals at home. Arsenal, that foundation, Saliba and Gabriel, that centre-back pairing, and Declan Rice, arguably been the best player on the park. Odegaard has been sensational.
So it's worth reminding everybody about that record at home. Up until the recent cup defeat against Go Ahead, that actually ended a 55-match undefeated home record here at the Philips Stadion. But Arsenal, who are meeting PSV for the 3rd successive season in European competition, are gaining their first win here. They've not won in their previous 4 visits, but they put that to the sword, certainly. There's 2 minutes of added on time, 7-1. And it guarantees a trip to Madrid in the quarter-final. The only question, will it be Real Madrid or Atletico Madrid? 2-1 to Real in the Bernabeu in that first leg. The ball is played forward and it's offside against Karsdorp. Borussia Dortmund 1, Lille 1. I mean, next week, all the interest will be on who Arsenal will be playing, such as the tight scoreline of that Madrid derby, because Aston Villa are well set for the last 8 to take on either Paris Saint-Germain or Liverpool. 3-1 from earlier today in Belgium. And we are about 99 miles away from that Belgian city here in Eindhoven. And Arsenal 7-1. Wycombe Wanderers 2, Burton Albion 0 is how it's finished. So no late fight back for Burton. It'll be a 2-point gap between second place Wycombe and Phil Parkinson's Wrexham, who are 3rd in the table. So 2 minutes of added on time, which we're into. And what a performance from Mikel Arteta's side. And there is the full-time whistle. PSV have been punished, they've been pulverised, and Arsenal have been perfect. 7-1.
It's a night it couldn't have gone any better for Mikel Arteta. Excellence in Eindhoven. And talk about being goal-shy Arsenal, lack a centre-forward. But right from the start they had control of the game, got themselves 3-0 up, a bit of ill-discipline to give away the penalty from Thomas Partey, and then PSV had a little spell for 5 minutes, and you thought, could PSV come out and really get themselves back in the game after half-time? They didn't. Arsenal out of the traps in the second half, 2 quick goals, and that was it. And they've got themselves in a marvellous position. They'll be through to the next round, no doubt about that. But such a strong, mature performance, and some great standouts, whether it's Odegaard or Rice Wanyeri, wrapped in cotton wool. They took him off. Some brilliant skill from him off that right-hand side. But yeah, Mikel Arteta, job done, and Arsenal can enjoy their evening.
Peter Bosz, the coach of PSV, could have a complaint that Lewis Kelly should have been sent off in the 26th minute when Arsenal were leading by 2-0, but a second bookable offence was not shown by the Spanish referee. But after that, Arsenal were absolutely ruthless, and it makes the second leg a mere formality. They've registered their biggest away win in European competition. PSV 1, Arsenal 7. Kelly.
Really impressive from Arsenal, watched on by Ian Dennis and Chris Sutton. Chris, how much do we read into this amidst all the Arsenal celebrations and jubilation?
Well, it's such an important, emphatic victory. I mean, as Ian said, the second leg will be a formality now. At the Emirates, the pressure will be off. They'll just have to turn up, get the job done. PSV aren't getting back into it. But it was, I suppose, legitimate questions about Arsenal and the lack of a centre-forward, and there have been goals shy in the last couple of games and drawn blanks, and where were the goals going to come from? And 6 different scorers, question marks over Martin Odegaard's form. In recent times, he was absolutely brilliant. He really was, and you can argue that the PSV midfield let him play and didn't get close enough to him, and if you give a player of that quality and class time on the ball, he can punish you, and he did do. Declan Rice, his running power was absolutely phenomenal. Played higher up for the majority of the game and until the last sort of 25 minutes when he just went and sat back in midfield. He ran the game, but to a man, I thought Arsenal were absolutely superb, and that will give them great confidence for the rest of the season. And I don't think they have to fear anybody in the Champions League competition. I think on their day they're a match for absolutely anybody. But tonight was all about coming here, getting the job done, and with PSV's home record, it wasn't going to be easy, but they made it look easy. It was so comfortable, and it was all about control, and they dominated this game. So a massive result for Arsenal.
Andros Townsend is also with us. Andros, control and goals from Arsenal. How many questions have they answered with that performance and that result?
Yeah, a lot. We spoke before the game about where the goals are going to come from, but like Chris said, absolutely everywhere. And it was an attacking overload masterclass in the final third. It was so many runners, so many bodies. Declan Rice was playing up front with Merino. Declan Rice was running in behind, allowing Merino and Odegaard and Trossard to get in those little spaces in the number 10 positions. Lewis Skelly linking up well with Trossard. The other side, Timber with Ranieri. It was just an absolute masterclass, and it was a joy to watch, I have to say.
Chris was saying he doesn't think Arsenal have got anybody to fear now in this competition. As much as they can take confidence from this, how much truth do you think there is in that? If Arsenal play to their best, if they've got a couple of players by the beginning of April starting to come back to fitness?
Definitely no one to fear. There are obviously big obstacles in the way, especially in the next round. But I think Arsenal are better suited to one-off, two-legged games as opposed to long seasons where in the past we've seen them fall away towards the end and slip up against maybe less fancy teams. So I think a Champions League format where it's two-legged ties, I think it would suit them more. But yeah, I definitely think they won't be fearing Real Madrid or Atletico Madrid in the next round, whoever it is.
Yeah, whichever way that is, and we'll get the full-time result from that one very shortly. Who particularly impressed you, Andros, in that performance? Because they shared the goals out amongst them, but who do you think stood out from the Arsenal side?
How long have we got? I think Declan Rice, like Chris mentioned, seeing him play so high. We've seen him in the number 10 position before, but to play number 9, not only that, to make runs in behind, he definitely stood out. Ranieri, every time I watch him, I'm just purring. He's special talent. I'm sure he'll start getting England shouts soon. Trossard off the left, Odegaard coming back to form, Timber at right back, Moreno playing that false 9. There's so many players I can speak about. It was a really enjoyable night for me to watch tonight.